Here's my top 10 complete list. Number 10 is a tie between two modern American epics. The first is Spike Lee's Malcolm X, a biography of one of the most daring political leaders. The second, Michael Mann's Heat, a thrilling crime drama by one of the finest filmmakers in America with a brilliantly cold, minimal look and great performances by Bob De Niro and Al Pacino. Number 9, the Coen brothers' Fargo. Wonderful performances by everybody in the picture, Macy and McDormand, and particularly Macy's a kind of passive-aggressive character. I like the whole picture because it's sort of it's a comedy of manners. It's a movie that once it's on, if it's on television, I'll keep watching the whole thing if I get caught up in it. And there's also that wonderful scene with this Asian American guy. Everyone else seems to be holding back their emotions, and this guy completely disintegrates on. The photography is wonderful. Roger Deakins, beautiful stuff. Number 8, David Cronenberg's Crash, genuinely erotic, but also profoundly disturbing, beautifully controlled and completely unconventional. Number 7, Wes Anderson's Bottle Rocket. I love the people in this film who are genuinely innocent more than even they know. Number 6, Lars von Trier's Breaking the Waves, a genuinely spiritual movie that asks, what is love and what is compassion? Number 5, Abel Ferrara's Bad Lieutenant, starring my old friend and collaborator Harvey Keitel. He's always taken risks as an actor, and in the 90s, and in this film in particular, he really reached his prime. Number 4, Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, and it stars Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman as a happily married couple who realize, thanks to a conversation that begins very casually, just how fragile the bond between them actually is. This sets Cruise's character off on a real odyssey. The key stop in his journey is a Long Island mansion where a bizarre secret ceremony is underway. I think a lot of people were looking at Eyes Wide Shut from the wrong angle. It's not to be taken literally. It's Manhattan as you'd experience it in a dream, where everything feels familiar, but very strange. I think Eyes Wide Shut is a profound film about love, sex, and trust in a marriage, about learning to take things day by day and either accepting or ignoring whatever unpleasant truths come along. It's also a film I cherish because it puts you in the authoritative hands of an old master with a style that flies in the face of every modern convention. Because you really take a journey inside Tom Cruise's mind, in a way, in this wonderful sense of sexuality and guilt and unpleasant discoveries and the journey the marriage has to take, all building up to the last line, which is a beauty. Number 3, Wu Nen Zhen's A Borrowed Life. The picture has a lot of domestic violence in it. In fact, in one scene, the camera's inside in the house, and husband and wife go outdoors, and you hear them fighting outside. The camera stays inside, and in a way, you don't want to go out there, but you're part of the family. And it's a true story. I mean, this writer-director is the writer for Hao Shen's films, Dust in the Wind and Puppet Master. I think Dust in the Wind is the same story from the other point of view. My choice for number 2 is Terrence Malick's adaptation of James Jones's novel, The Thin Red Line. There are many great actors in this movie, including Sean Penn, Nick Nolte, John Savage, Jim Caviezel, and others, but there's no star. The film has a deliberately loose structure, and the story is told through multiple voiceovers and points of view. The Thin Red Line is actually the story of every soldier who took part in the endless battle to secure Guadalcanal. The Thin Red Line works very differently from most films. As you watch it, you wonder, what is narrative in movies? Is it everything? And if so, is there only one way to handle it? I realize now that each of the 4 top movies on my list moves at a very slow tempo. If Malick had just done a straightforward narrative, could he ever have achieved the kind of poetry he does here, or made a film where you really come to see the world as a primeval place? I don't think so. It takes you to a place in time. It takes you to a place. You begin to think about, you know, what are we as human beings? What are these soldiers doing on this primeval island? You could come in the middle of it. You can watch it. It's almost like an endless picture. It has no beginning and no end. People say, well, sometimes I can't tell whose voiceover it is. It doesn't matter. It's everybody's voiceover. And my number 1 film of the decade, even though it was made in the late 80s, Xian Zhuang's Horse Thief. It didn't really become widely known in the United States until the early 90s, which is when I saw it for the first time. The story of the film is as simple and elemental as the lives of the people it depicts. A man is ostracized from his tribe for stealing horses. His living conditions become so severe that his son dies. He repents, is accepted back into the fold, and he's forced to steal horses again to keep his second child alive. Now, I have a great interest in anthropology, and Xian takes you inside a culture that initially felt as distant to me as the surface of the moon. And because he stays so simple and so specific, the point of view becomes universal. This is what life is all about, struggling to keep your family alive. Horse Thief was a real inspiration to me. It's that rare thing, a genuinely transcendental film. The director made The Blue Kite back in '93, right afterwards, which is a similar way into that society, a very interesting way, where he shows you the microcosm and you get the whole macrocosm from it. Unfortunately, since then, he hasn't been making pictures in mainland China.